Well, it happened. Sooner than I expected. When just in my last video I was thanking you all for helping this get past the 50 sub count, we've now broken the 100 sub count, and it's honestly surreal to me that this happened, especially in such a relatively short time. So first of all, thank you. This really does mean a lot to me, and I hope you all enjoy the stuff I'm making and that you enjoy the stuff I'm going to make in the future. And I also want to tell you that some of this happened as well because TikTok has decided to point the finger of God on me and go, today is your lucky day, as it boosted one of my videos on there. Okay, take a look. This video, 699 views. This one, 1,433 views. This one, 477,000 views. What? So thank you to the people who came here from TikTok as well, and I hope you all like my stuff. Today though, I want to do something different. I know that my most popular video on this channel is my Assassin's Creed video, and that my last video was also rather well received. And I figured it would be best to wrap up the whole Ezio story with these two short films produced by Ubisoft. Lineage and Embers. I don't really review films, but we're gonna be doing this today, and I made sure to leave links to both movies in the description for you to check out. But for now, let's get started and have a look at Lineage. Assassin's Creed Lineage is a series of 3 short films put together to make one long short film. What? Lineage serves as a prequel that follows Giovanni Auditore, played here by Romano Orzari, who then reprises his role in the video game. Giovanni starts off monologuing about corruption and deception going on behind the scenes at the Renaissance as he walks into the night. And you might notice that something is a bit off about the background here, and it's that this whole movie was filmed in green screen, and you have the game's environment added in from the game engine and touched up in soft image afterwards. Now, it's not the first movie to do this. Sin City and 300 did this earlier, but I think it's kind of neat to see that they used the game's actual engine for Florence and brought that into the movie. Giovanni runs into a group of mercenaries and gets into a fight with them, and one of these mercenaries is Rodrigo Borgia, who scurries away after having his throat almost sliced. I'm sure that's the last time he'll run away from a fight. At the end of the fight, one of the mercenaries gets captured and taken to Lorenzo de' Medici and Uberto Alberti. Giovanni mentions that something is going to happen that will shift power into other hands, and this will happen next with the assassination of the Duke of Milan, Galeazzo Sforza.
Rumors about an important event that would cause a shift of power.
It's ironic though that Giovanni's concerned about deception and corruption going on when Sforza was described as a cruel and tyrannical man historically, which fueled the actual assassination, and I guess that's just a thing with Assassin's Creed, huh? People get assassinated based on their affiliation rather than who they are as a person. If the assassins don't want a Templar in power, they assassinate them. If Templars want to take over the place, they just kill those in power. Sforza being allied with the Medicis seems cause enough for Giovanni to want to take action, because he just seems to act more like Lorenzo's own personal assassin here. Giovanni heads out to Milan to prevent this assassination, though he fails, but not all is lost as Giovanni found a lead. One of the conspirators has a coin with the coat of arms of Venice on it, so that's where he has to go next. Honestly though, it's just funnier to me looking back at this clip because it looks like he's just mugging the guy's body as he's dead. How would he know to check the coins? In Venice, Giovanni manages to intercept an encrypted letter, and let's just appreciate the fact that the textures of Venice are all here and that it's not all just a shade of pink. I feel bad for this guard though, as Giovanni's just walking down and then this guard just looks down and then boom! Assassinated. Just taken out. He might not even have been a Templar. He might have just been like some guy just like working his day job and Giovanni just took him out of the place. Returning to Florence, he has a letter to Lorenzo and Uberto. Uberto tasks decoding the message to this man, Father Maffei, and after it's done, tells him to not tell anybody about this, which makes sense. This is sensitive information. Unless he also intends to not tell Lorenzo and Giovanni. Well, surprise! Uberto tells Lorenzo and Giovanni that the letter cannot be decoded and it must instead be hand-delivered to find out who it's meant for and what it's for, and this has to be done in Rome. Giovanni takes this mission on to deliver the letter himself, so off to Rome he goes. Meanwhile, we're shown the scene of Rodrigo Borgia revealing he's a Templar as he and the others cross swords across a table that's meant to resemble a Templar cross, I guess?
May the Father of Understanding be with us. Amen.
it looks like they forgot what the Templar cross looks like and they have just a vague idea about it. It looks like how my unartistic ass would just draw the Templar cross from memory. Here's a fun fact for you. If you go to the Lineage Wikipedia page, you can scroll down and find a link for the Father of Understanding, and that link leads you directly for the Wikipedia article for Baphomet. Did you know that the historical Knights Templars were accused of allegedly worshipping Baphomet? Because I think someone in the writing room did. Giovanni begins telling the letter as it trades hands until it gets to Rodrigo, who then meets with Pope Sixtus IV, and they begin talking about how the Medicis have no respect, and the Pope, while not actively advocating the assassination and usurpation of power from them, would be totally fine if it helps benefit Florence, wink wink nudge nudge. Giovanni tails Rodrigo into a church. Giovanni talks to this priest, church warden, layperson. He talks to this guy in the church who gives the most suspicious responses like, could you just answer the question properly?
It has been very quiet here today. I have seen no other man besides you.
The hood covers his face. He wore black clothes.
I cannot help you. Maybe God can. Pray. You will find the answer.
No, I guess not. We gotta be cryptic. Woohoo, fancy. This is espionage or something. Well, this was all a trap for Giovanni. Rodrigo tries to convince Giovanni to side with the Templars, but he refuses, which leads to another fight scene. Now, if you wanted to know how the hidden blade got broken in Assassin's Creed 2, this is the scene right here. This is how we find out on how the hidden blade got broken. A knife is also thrown at Giovanni, who then gets stabbed right in the chest, and then he just pulls it out, and no, you don't pull it out. Who taught you to pull out knives and things that get stabbed in you? That's a quick way to bleed out. And on top of that, he has to make his way back to Florence, which is about, 59 hours walking? And I know, maybe he could have seen a doctor while here, but this shit takes time to heal, man. So back at the Auditory estate, while he's still probably healing from his wounds in the chest, he's starting to realize that the death of the Duke of Milan is just a start to a greater conspiracy that will eventually hit Florence, which, yeah, I guess if the Duke of Milan's an ally to Lorenzo, then it wouldn't be too much of a far-off guess. As he's telling his wife this, we find armed guards led by Father Maffei approaching the estate.
Father Maffei is here. He wants you to come with him immediately. He's not alone. Armed men are with him.
And Giovanni tells Federico to buy him some time to escape. The movie ends with Giovanni watching Ezio flirt with Cristina, and then beginning to monologue about dark days approaching Florence leading up to the Pazzi conspiracy. Now you're probably wondering, Kagi, did you really just sum up a 30-minute long short film in just what has it been, 5 or 6 minutes now? And yeah, I did. You'd be surprised to see that things in this movie just sort of happen. I have a vague recollection of what went down, but it all just sort of blurs together, and I had to remind myself of the exact order of events. Everything just felt intentionally vague. Why does something happen? Because it does. This might be to not spoil the game, but you could just give us something. I also have a few questions. 1. How does Giovanni just return to his family and day job like this? The guy's a banker still, he has to do something involving banking, right? Well, I have an answer on how long this takes. The Duke of Milan was assassinated on the 26th of December 1476, and Giovanni and his sons were executed on the 29th of December 1476. Just 3 days, and this doesn't add up? Because Giovanni's been going from Florence to Milan to Florence to Venice to Florence to Rome and back to Florence, and that sure as hell takes a lot longer than just 3 whole days. 2. Why does Giovanni still talk with Uberto if Maffei was leading the guards over to his house? I can understand if he doesn't want to talk to Medici because he's worried about something there, but why Uberto? At this point, I would have just stayed away from my family and away from anyone I would assume to have trusted. And I sure as hell would not go to the people who sent guards after me. 3. Was Federico an assassin at this point? It didn't seem like he was, but everything I read said that he was trained by Giovanni, and given this was 3 days before his execution, I would expect him to actually be an assassin. You see, around the end, I would have figured, hey, maybe he's an assassin and he knows what to do here, how to deal with the guards, maybe he'd fend them off or something, but this is all we get for the final scene when he buys time for Giovanni.
Now! And don't ever doubt the words of an auditore again!
You see, I was expecting some cool assassin stuff, but instead what we got was this line delivery, which I feel they could have done a different take. Like, did they just film this and said, well, that's good. That's all we got going for us. It's the end of the movie anyway, who really cares? I'm gonna be real here, this movie is extremely average. Would you have missed out on anything if you just skipped this and went straight to the game? No, not really. The game does well to give you what you need to know, and this is sort of like supplementary material. It's there if you want to watch it, and it was there to hype up the game, but if you don't watch it, then that's not really a problem. As I said, I remember bits and pieces of what happened, but nothing really seemed to stick. I know where he went and the main things, but nothing really made me think, hey, that was a fun fight scene to watch. And with how things were left intentionally unexplained, I could only realize that it was leading up to the Pazzi conspiracy mostly because of hindsight from playing the game. And while it may be intentional to not have it be explained to us, it's not really something that's going to bring in new fans. We don't know much about the Assassins, we don't know much about the Templars. It's very much a thing for people who played the first game to get them excited for the second game. Alright, next movie. Embers was released alongside Assassin's Creed Revelations and is the final chapter of Ezio's story. It takes place 10 years after the events of the game, where he's married to Sofia and has kids of his own, living in a villa in Tuscany tending to his own farm. At this point, he is fully done with the Brotherhood. He has retired as of the events of the last game, and now he just is given his chance to live. While watching over his garden, he spies someone approaching in the distance, and soon after sees this hooded person talking with his daughter. Whether due to the protection of a father or past trauma from other hooded figures, or probably both, he rushes over to confront this person until he notices the symbol of the Assassin Brotherhood on her amulet. This is Xiao Yun, a member of the Chinese Brotherhood who sought out Ezio to help instruct her on how to rebuild her brotherhood, and Ezio is kinda pissed. Keep in mind, he spent 20 years of his life driven by revenge and a few more years because the son of the guy he left alive came to bite back, and the final years to just find answers, and now he has a chance to live out his life, and that's not even given to him. Sophia allows Xiao Yun to stay because, well, she walked all the way over here from fucking China. Not like she could just get a plane ticket back or something. I don't think Da Vinci ever really formalized commercial flight with his flying machine. Ezio finds Xiao Yun in his personal space and gets mad and tells her to leave, which, honestly, fair, I don't really blame him here, and she repeats back some of his writing to him.
My name is Ezio Auditore. When I was a young man, I had liberty, but I did not see it. I had time, but I did not know it, and I had love, but I did not feel it. It would be 30 long years before I understood the meaning of all three.
She says that she wants to understand the Brotherhood as Ezio did, and he explains to her why he's been so reluctant to even help her. He has her follow along and shows her the plaza where his family was executed, and he explains the bitter irony of being an assassin.
The life of an assassin is pain, Yun. You suffer it, you inflict it, you watch it happen, with the hope that you can help it disappear in time.
On the way home, they're attacked by a Chinese soldier who follow them here, and Xiao Yun explains her struggle to Ezio. Worried that more soldiers will attack the villa, Ezio sends Sofia and his children to stay with Machiavelli, and spoilers, he's right, there's an attack. And imagine though if he was wrong and nothing ended up happening. Like, there's no big fight scene in the movie, it's just one fight scene right there, and the other soldiers just went, no, we're not gonna go there, we're not gonna fight this guy. What, are you crazy? He's an assassin. Ezio teaches Xiao Yun about his actions from his younger years, why he felt that killing Rodrigo and Cesare would solve nothing, despite throwing Cesare off of a keep wall. Well, I guess Ezio didn't really kill Cesare, gravity did, so gravity killed Cesare, and he teaches Xiao Yun on how to rebuild the Brotherhood, what he taught people, and how he managed to revive the Italian Brotherhood and helped the Ottoman Brotherhoods. It's an interesting perspective, and it gleams some more light on Ezio's actions, and it's these human moments that probably help made Ezio a really likable character and one of the more popular assassins in the series. The fight scene, however, is actually rather good. I don't think it's anything particularly special, but what I do love about it is that the animations look like they're ripped exactly from the game, and they probably are, given that in Lineage they used the game engine to design for the background, and the fact that this animated movie looks like some video game CG cutscene, they probably did just rip these from Revelations. Now, I know this might sound like a dig at the movie, but I actually really like it. I love it when movies end up being more stylized, they have these little quirks about them, and when it's tied to a video game as well, it only helps boost my enjoyment of the movie. So I just want to say to the animators for this fight scene, good job, you've done a really good fight scene. Come on, everybody clap. Come on, hell yeah, let's go, hell yeah. The next day, surviving the attack, Ezio sends Xiao Yun on her way, now with the knowledge he has given her and a box with something inside only to be used if she loses her way. In this short time, we have seen Xiao Yun, and I have really enjoyed her character and would love to see more. Given that Ezio's story is over and he's passing on the torch to Xiao Yun, I'm sure that she'll get her own game and it's going to be a mainline game, and we're going to see China and rebuild the Chinese Brotherhood. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see how the third game ends up going. I'm sure this is what they're gonna go for, right? Right? They're not just gonna throw her away to a side game, right? This is not the end of the movie though. There is one final scene that we have to go over. Ezio is feeling unwell. He's like 60 something, it's the Renaissance. I mean, he's probably on like death's door or something, and we all know how this is probably going to end. And Sophia has told him that he can just sit back and rest, but he decides to join her and his children to the market. While shopping, Ezio takes a seat on the bench and is joined by a young man who is talking about how the women of Rome are just much better than the women of Florence. He has a kind of vile appearance about him, and not just because he reminds me of that bowl-cut guy from Despicable Me. Ezio clutches to his chest, suffering from a heart attack. The young man tells Ezio to rest, and he gets up from his seat. The final sight Ezio has is of his wife and his daughter as he passes from this life. Watching this for the first time, it's actually really hard to see this happen to Ezio. Even though we know it's going to happen, it's still a really heavy scene. We've seen his birth, his death, and his life, and it's honestly interesting that this is the ending they have given him, a peaceful death in his home with those that he loved. At this point, we only know that Altair passed on his own, keeping his apple safe from Templar and Mongol hands, devoting himself to the Brotherhood for his whole life, while Ezio has done the same, but ended up spending his final moments with his family. And you could argue whether or not it's a fitting ending. You can't really argue that it's not a well-deserved ending for Ezio. Requiescat in pace, Ezio. Before we wrap up, I just want to talk a bit more about this scene because I read a few interesting theories behind it. We don't really know who this man Ezio is talking to, and he could just be some random Italian who sat next to him and decided to go on about the woman in the city, but I've also seen that some have speculated him to have been a Templar sent to kill Ezio, which could explain his sinister look towards Ezio, and realizing that Ezio is suffering a heart attack allowed him to just pass on peacefully. Another theory, and one that I personally enjoy, is that this man is a representation of Ezio's younger self. Given the scar on his lip and a penchant for the ladies, he reminds Ezio of his younger self, or is sort of like an illusion, kind of like a light flashing before your eyes kind of thing, that Ezio himself is seeing as his younger self is finally telling him at the end of his life to rest. Sitting in front of Sophia and Flavia only to move away, giving him this view of his wife and child as the last thing he sees.
When I was a young man, I had liberty, but I did not see it. I had time, but I did not know it. And I had love, but I did not feel it. Many decades would pass before I understood the meaning of all three. And now, in the twilight of my life, this understanding has passed into contentment. Love, liberty, and time, once so disposable, are the fuels that drive me forward. And love most especially, mio caro. For you, our children, our brothers and sisters, and for the vast and wonderful world that gave us life and keeps us guessing. Endless affection, mia Sofia. Forever yours, Ezio Auditore.
Watching this in Lineage made me realize that the short film medium is probably not for me, especially when it's tied to, albeit now, a larger franchise, but this final scene in Embers made the whole thing just 100% worth it. It is well worth a watch, especially if you're finishing up the Ezio games. The movies on their own probably aren't worth it individually, though Lineage wasn't really the best and Embers was a fun watch, but it's only because I've played through Revelations, and taking into context that these are meant to be paired alongside their games helps them in this case. I probably would have enjoyed Lineage a lot more if I watched it before starting the first game, because I really did enjoy Embers, given it's also right after I finished Revelations. Also, the script for Embers was written by Darby McDevitt, so I don't know, take that as you will. I just want to say again really quick, thank you for 100 subscribers. It's still surreal to me to see this number even though I've come down from the initial excitement of it all. If you're new here, then why not check out my other Assassin's Creed videos? I have them all in this playlist here and there will be more in the future as I go through the rest of the series. Also, I would like to recommend this video right here, Black Sand Under the Skin, which I found on sale one day on Steam and I just had to talk about it. I really enjoyed working on that video and I would appreciate it if you gave it a view. Thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you all in the next video and remember that I appreciate you.